Hello and welcome to the third lesson on the Jungle Book case study. Today we're going to be looking at ownership and control in the film industry. Here we have a summary. This is taken from the Knowledge Organiser, and I thought it's a useful way just to recap what we've looked at so far. So through this case study we explored Disney as a powerful media institution, a conglomerate, which has established itself as a highly successful global brand. Disney owns subsidiaries at all stages of the film chain, and as a result is able to produce, distribute, market and exhibit its films worldwide. I'd like you to start with a bit of retrieval practice first then. If you want to pause the video, and please complete the 3 tasks that encourage you to reflect on the terminology that we learned in the last 2 sessions. Okay, let's go through those answers then. Monopoly, that referred to the exclusive ownership or control over something. A conglomerate, that was a large corporation that consists of smaller companies. We call them subsidiaries. And the 2 key terms from the last section then were vertical and horizontal integration. Now, if you found this a trickier task, do not worry. These 2 terms we are going to cover further today and explore. But you might have written something like this, that vertical integration means a corporation owns companies at each stage of the film chain, whereas horizontal integration means they own multiple companies at the same stage of the filmmaking process. Okay, so just to recap that, we looked at this idea last time, and I think this graphic here is a useful visual for really understanding the term. If you'd like to, if you want to recap those for a moment, you can pause the video here and do so. Because understanding the business strategy of vertical and horizontal integration is going to be really central to the new piece of knowledge that we build on today. So our lesson focus now is still on the film industry, looking at issues of ownership and control, and we're introducing our first bit of media theory, or indeed revising that media theory for industry, and we're looking at Curran and Seaton here. OCR refer to Curran and Seaton's theory as that of profit and power, but you might see it referred to elsewhere as a theory that deals with ownership effects also. And this is just a good time to remind you that there are some resources that go alongside these lessons that I think are particularly helpful. First of all, there is a glossary of terminology that deals with media industries, and that's available on Show My Homework. Furthermore, there's also a knowledge organiser. It's quite in-depth, but it does cover lots of the things that come up in these sessions, so it's really useful for further reading, for summarising and reflecting on what you've looked at in each session. And it covers the key terminology, as well as some useful sentence constructions to help too. Okay, let's introduce then the first piece of media theory. When we're looking at media theory, really we're looking at some ideas and a lens or a perspective to look at certain aspects of the media through. Today we're looking at ideas of Curran and Seaton. Curran and Seaton argue that media industries are dominated by large conglomerates, who are primarily driven by profit and power. They explore how these conglomerates project values, messages and ideas that have the power to shape people's ideologies. And furthermore, they discuss the monopoly these conglomerates have over media industries and the negative impact that this may have on diversity and creativity. When we look at Curran and Seaton's theory, we might consider ideas about concentration of ownership. This is also a term defined in the glossary. The concentration of ownership then means the process really by which fewer organisations control increasing shares of the mass media. So this links nicely to what we discussed last time about those large Hollywood studios, what we call the Big Five, who really have a concentration of ownership within the film industry. And we know for our case study that Disney is really the largest conglomerate of those big corporations here, and can be seen in many ways to hold somewhat of a monopoly over the film industry. I'll just have a look here then at OCR's definition, and they say that Curran and Seaton then suggests the idea that patterns of ownership and control are the most significant factors in how the media operate. Media industries follow the normal capitalist pattern of increasing ownership in fewer and fewer hands, and that this leads to a narrowing of opinions represented and a pursuit of profit, sometimes at the expense of quality or creativity. So we really are being asked to consider here really how conglomerates might think about profit over anything else, how profit might take precedence over creativity, and how the film industry might be considered then as a business and purely a commercial business rather than a purely creative industry. If we're to apply this idea then to Disney, we need to consider again the business strategy of vertical and horizontal integration. We'll just use this graphic to recap that idea. That as a conglomerate, Disney holds a lot of power. They own companies at each stage of the film chain, and multiple subsidiaries also across each of the film production and distribution stages. This enables them to increase their profits, reduce competition, and I'm going to ask you to explore this a bit further in light of Curran and Seaton's theory. For this, we're going to use an excellent resource that is available on Mark Dixon's Essential Media Theory website. I've actually put a link to the e-worksheet. I want to show my homework as well. So you can fill this in directly on your computer, or you could print a copy and handwrite. I highly recommend the book Media Theory for A-Level, the Essential Revision Guide. This gives some really in-depth discussion of the key theorists, and some excellent activities and tasks to complete as well. So once you've accessed this worksheet, I'd like you then to have a look at the next part of the video, where we will be going through the benefits of horizontal integration and also the benefits of vertical integration in order to understand Disney's business strategy better.